Okay, good morning, everybody. I hope you are all safe and in good health, no? I cannot control. Okay, safe and control. Okay, first of all, I would like to present a disclaimer. So, first of all, I am not an expert user of Unispace. As a matter of fact, I just started using Unispace during the ECQ, and I am not an expert in education. So my engineering education practice is only a product of my personal reflections. So on reading references, attending seminars, and actual experience and practice of the learning by doing philosophy. So basically, I am presenting not as an expert, online teacher, but as a student, no? As a student of online teaching and learning. So maliwanag, So what I will do is I will just share my experience and my plans for the next term. My lecture is actually a presentation of my journey as a teacher who struggled in exploring emergency remote teaching via Unieversity Canvas platform. It started with the first step, that is during the ECQ in March 2020. So I started learning and using the Unieversity as the platform for online teaching. Then it continued with my journey continued with learning online teaching by attending ASIT's webinars and other free online courses. And finally, my last topic is my online roadmap for teaching civil engineering courses in particular for this term 3. Today's lecture actually can be found in some of my articles which I posted in my blog. So if you have time, you can visit my blog, digitalstructures.blogspot.com. So part 1 is about my first experience of implementing online teaching during the ECQ. So first, I'd like to discuss the online tools that I use. As I mentioned earlier, I am just a beginner in Unispace. I only use Canvas or Unispace for syllabus uploading to comply with the chairman's orders to upload our syllabus so that we at least use the Unispace. I am more of a user of Yahoo Groups, YouTubes, and Google Forms. However, when Yahoo Group actually terminated the uploading of files in their system, so I am forced to use Unispace in uploading my files and sharing my handouts to the students. And those are the only tools I use, syllabus and files. Now come this, during the ECQ, I have to explore some of these Unispace tools, and the tools that I use during this ECQ are, of course, syllabus and files that I have already used, and then I explore using the announcements, posting up assignments, and of course conducting online lectures in conferences, and of course conducting quizzes via Canvas. So those are the only tools that I have used so far during the ECQ. Now let's present now the framework that I used during the ECQ. This is basically a summary of what I did during the ECQ. Let me first discuss the first two items here about the orientation and the roadmap, and about the faculty-based teaching activities. So during the ECQ, we have to post a roadmap for the students so that the students will be guided during the conduct of the online learning. So at the start of the ECQ, a roadmap was announced to guide the students on the schedule of lectures and assignments. Now, what are the faculty-based activities during that ECQ? Of course, you are now forced to prepare PowerPoint presentations so that you can conduct the online lectures. Now, I prepared this. Some of these presentations are already ready for my face-to-face. Of course, I have to refine them for online lectures. Some of these lectures, I also have added voiceover and shared it to the students for those who were not able to attend the live online lectures. So online lectures were conducted via conference. No? Although during the ECQ, if I remember correctly, it was not required. No? It is an optional to the students because of the quarantine. No? Of course, the uploading of files in the keynotes in the files in Canvas is the easiest way to share the content, and posting of announcements so that you can update the students on the schedule, and of course preparation of quizzes and the conduct of quizzes during the term. I will show you a sample of my online lecture. You can see here, these are the PowerPoint slides during my online lecture. And during my online lecture, I use a pencil, and then you can see here the red marks annotation during the online lecture. This lecture was actually also converted into a PowerPoint with voiceover. And also you can also convert the PowerPoint with voiceover into a video. And then this video can also be uploaded in YouTube and shared to your students via Canvas through Studio. So this is a sample PowerPoint presentation with annotations. Now, with respect to the student-based or student-centered learning activities, these were the tasks that the students did during the ECQ. First, we have the asynchronous learning. So obviously, students have to download the e-notes and PowerPoint from Canvas, and then students can watch YouTube video tutorials at YouTube, and these were announced in the announcements. And then, of course, students can also view the recorded online lectures, or the video lectures shared by the faculty. Now, with respect to formative learning, in this course is, by the way, is a theory of structures, is a computational course. So students have to solve problem sets, and these are posted in the assignments. And then I also conducted practice quizzes, so that the students can have a feel on how to do a quiz using Canvas, and also to check their knowledge about the topics. So these are the formative learning tasks done by the students. Now, with respect to assessment of learning outcomes, as I mentioned, the problem set is one way of assessing whether they have mastery of the theory and the procedure with respect to the subject matter. And of course, the main assessment of learning outcomes is through quizzes and the final exam. Now, I will explain to you later on how the quizzes were conducted. So online, I will discuss this in detail later on. This is a sample of a problem set submitted by a student. So you can see that the computations, etc. So what they did is they took a picture or scanned the solution, and then paste it in Word and convert it into a PDF file so that the file will be smaller, and submit via Canvas assignment or via Google Form. This is a sample of a practice quiz. The main objective of a practice quiz is to familiarize the students on how to use quizzes in Canvas, and to serve as a reviewer for the actual quiz. So this is a sample question in a practice quiz. The problem is given, and then questions given are either numerical answer, you key in the final numerical answer, or it can be a multiple choice, or it can be a true or false question. Now, the online quiz, no? This is the actual quiz now, the summative assessment. I conducted it using 3 phases. No? It's not just a one task, but it consists of 3 phases. No? I will explain to you later why. No? The part 1 is I open a conference. So the students have to log in Canvas, join the conference at least 10 minutes before the quiz for attendance checking. No? And then, during the conference, I display the problems. This is an example of a problem. There are actually usually 3 problems in one quiz. So this problem is displayed for about 20 to 25 minutes for the students to solve the problem. At the moment, they don't know what will be the questions that will be asked. This is, I just display, this is the problem, these are the possible questions that will be asked. Okay? So solve the problem in 20 to 25 minutes. Next, I will display again the second problem and then the third problem. So that is about 80 minutes of problem solving. Okay? The second phase of the online quiz is already the inputting of the final answers. Okay, so I use now Canvas, no? the quizzes option of Canvas. So in Canvas, you can create a quiz. You can choose an option where, in my case, I require them to input a numerical answer. In some cases, I ask some multiple choice questions, and other questions are true or false questions. The percentage of the inputting of the final answers is about 60%. No? Originally, I planned it to be 100%, but I don't want the students. I am hesitant, no? Because I don't want them to pass the exam using by guessing or by what we call by cheating. It's possible because the possibility of cheating in an online quiz is very, very high. So I have to require them to submit their solution. And this is 40% of their grade. So after 30 minutes of inputting, I will close this option in quizzes in 30 minutes, and I will open the last part, the third phase, which is the uploading of the solution. This can be done either through assignments, but in my case, I use the Google form. So I gave them 30 minutes to upload their solution. So what they have to do is to take a photo of their solution. It can be scratch paper or whatever. So take a photo of their solution, again, paste it in Word, and then submit as PDF, or it can be a Word file. So those are the 3 phases. So it's a long quiz, if you notice. No? Originally, for a face-to-face exam, it's usually 90 minutes. No? But in this case, it's a little bit longer because of considering the time spent in uploading, etc. So it's a little bit longer than an ordinary face-to-face exam. So how did they perform in the online versus the classroom quiz? No? So before the ECQ, we had already a classroom quiz number 1, and then after the ECQ, we have quiz 2 and quiz 3. You know? And if you compare the scores in quiz 1, which is a face-to-face or classroom quiz, to an online quiz, relatively, no? You can see that the students get higher scores in online quizzes. Obviously, because possibility, because it's an open all, no? Open books, open notes, open internet, whatever, even open classmates. That's a possibility. But later on, you will see whether the students really consulted their classmates from the survey. But you will notice the performance is almost the same exactly, but there are more higher scorers in the online quiz compared to the classroom quiz. But in my experience, in teaching this subject, usually the first quiz is the most difficult quiz to the students. And then the second quiz and third quiz is more or less easier for them because they already adjusted to my style of giving quizzes. So I conducted an end of course survey just to get a feel of how the students, what is their feedback about online teaching and learning and conduct of online quizzes. So these are some of the results of the survey. There is a question, which mode of delivery is more effective with respect to your learning and understanding the concepts and examples? Online lecture or YouTube video? Okay? And you will know the response of the students, 64 or about 65%, they prefer an online lecture compared to a YouTube video. One comment of the student is, we cannot ask the video tutorial or the YouTube how or why the equation came to be. So there's no instant answer. They have a question about the video lecture, but they cannot ask the teacher because it's a recorded lecture. So they prefer online lecture because they can ask the teacher live if they have an instant question. But of course, the advantage of a video lecture is it can be replayed anytime. Anytime, as many times as possible until the student understands the lecture. The second question in the survey, among the various modes of delivery of lectures, which is most effective? Online lecture, YouTube videos, or just reading keynotes and textbooks? Again, you can see that more than 50% say that online lectures are more effective in their learning compared to watching a YouTube video or just reading a textbook or a keynotes. The third question is between online quiz, okay, take the online quiz and classroom quiz, which do you prefer? It's more or less even, if you notice, almost 50-50. 50% like a classroom, 50% prefer an online quiz. Okay, preference. The question is preference. There's a follow-up question. Which is more effective in assessing the mastery and understanding of the subject matter? And surprisingly, the students say the classroom quiz is more effective with respect to the mastery and understanding of the subject matter compared to an online quiz. So the challenge, later on you will understand why they responded to this with respect to mastery. So the challenge to our faculty is how to design authentic assessments where mastery of the subject matter or learning outcomes are achieved in an open notes environment. Because for them, in an online or in an online quiz, they can open notes, sometimes they can consult their classmates. So there is, with respect to mastery, probably it will be compromised, unlike in a classroom quiz, where they are required to memorize equations, formulas, procedures, etc. This question, this is now related to the conduct of the online quiz. There's a question, during the online quiz, do you check your notes and textbooks? And you will notice here, more than 80% said sometimes. And there's about 12% said never. And then there's a few of them who always check their notes. Okay. And then there's some comments here from the feedback. Open notes may result to no mastery of formulas. Students don't study as hard and don't retain much from lectures. Academic dishonesty or cheating is very easy in an online quiz. Now there's a question. During the online quiz, do you consult your classmates? And very surprisingly, majority says never. Or 55 or about 56% said they never consulted their classmates. So I'm very proud of this, of the honesty of our students with respect to exam. But of course, because of the time, one of the reasons is because of the time limitation. No? You have to focus more on your paper than consulting your classmate, because you might waste time, and otherwise you might not finish your quiz. This question is about this question I asked them, if you learn online and then you're asked to take a quiz in a classroom, what do you think will be your performance? No? And more than or about 59% says my performance in the classroom will still be above average. And then about 27% says my performance in the classroom will just be average, but still passing. No? Now, I ask this question because if we are going to conduct an online classroom, maybe for one term or 2 terms or even for 1 year, how will it affect the performance of our students, especially in the board exam? Okay, that is something we have to think about. Okay, after conducting that survey, I would like to summarize my lessons from this online experience. First of all, when the question prefer online classroom or face-to-face classroom, most of the students said they prefer a face-to-face classroom. My analysis for this, because the online environment is relatively new, so the students and even the faculty need more time and experience to adjust and to adapt to an online environment. Now, with respect to interaction in synchronous online lectures, students prefer online lectures because there is interaction between the faculty. As I mentioned earlier, between YouTube and online lecture, they prefer online lecture because they can instantly ask the teacher, "Sir, bakit ganito yung equation na to? Bakit ganito?" etc. Unlike in a YouTube video, you have to repeat and repeat the video so that you can understand the lecture. And one discovery that I made is when I posted a PowerPoint and added a voiceover, they prefer this as an alternative to asynchronous online lecture. So many of the students suggested a PowerPoint with voiceover can be an alternative to asynchronous online lectures. So maybe you can explore, you have already PowerPoint slides, maybe you can now add a voiceover per slide and then share that PowerPoint to your students as an alternative to an online lecture. Now, with respect to the mastery of the subject matter, as I mentioned, this may be compromised in an online environment. So, online quizzes. So the challenge is how to design online quizzes that minimizes student consultation, quotation or open quotation cheating, and open notes and textbooks. Authentic assessment. How to design individual or group authentic assessment tasks that lead to mastery of the subject matter. One possible or a solution to authentic assessments will be open-ended problems, probably. Is how to design problems that require research and higher levels of thinking, like analyzing, synthesizing, and creating, not just problems with straightforward or cookbook solutions. And finally, we have to promote also interaction among the students, how to design group learning activities that promote interaction among students and with the faculty, and this is which is very limited in an online environment. So these are challenges to the faculty in designing assessments so that the learning outcomes and mastery of subject matter can be achieved. Now, I would like to share my experience in my graduate class. In one of the graduate courses, we had a final activity, and the final activity is a graduate forum. In this forum, the graduate students were required to present orally seminar paper. No? It's like a mini conference, and we use Animo Space. So we even have Dr. Mutuk as our guest or a keynote speaker, and I invited in this forum GCOE faculty, including Dr. Dunka and experts in the topic DRR, and they were there who attended the graduate forum. They asked questions during the presentations of the students. We even have a book of abstract or a proceedings, which is uploaded in the internet, which can be accessed by anyone. No? So the forum was very successful because these are our regular activities. So the forum was very successful. The students, the forum was divided into several sessions. Some of the students were appointed as moderators, and then the students were also answered the questions from the faculty and invited guests. Probably you can also do the same if you're going to conduct oral reports, no, as final assessment in your courses. Part 2 is about learnings from webinars and online courses. So during the ECQ, up to this time, I am attending webinars, and I am very thankful to Dr. Jasper because I am a regular participant in the assist 9 o'clock to 10 a.m. Q&A webinars. No? I can see a very few faculty there, such as Dr. Lorente, Indira Adam, as the regular attendees in this Q&A webinars by assist. And also, I completed a course. This was announced by Dr. Dunka. This is the Arizona State University course on Foundations of Excellence in Teaching Online. So you can still, if you are interested, you can still attend this course. It is a self-paced online course wherein you complete some of the requirements until you complete the course, and you will get a sort of a certificate, something like this. So what were my learnings from this assist webinars and from these online courses? Let me just summarize my learnings. First, the teacher does not just assign tasks for students to do in an online class. The teacher designs tasks that should be engaging to the students. This is one of the quotes that I learned from Dr. Jasper. No? So let me summarize some of the engagement strategies on remote teaching and learning. First, you should have a self-introduction. Probably you have to do this on the first meeting. So you need to know your students, and the students need to know their online classmates. Second, one suggestion I learned from the Arizona State University online courses, you must have suggestion is a syllabus quiz. So after presenting your syllabus, probably during that week, you present a syllabus quiz so that you can ensure that the students understand the concepts and the requirements in the course. This is very important because even during traditional classes, you give the syllabus to the students, and at the end of the term, they will like, sir, paano ba i-complete yung final grade namin? When in fact, it's already posted in the syllabus. So probably questions about grading, how they will be graded in the course can be asked in the syllabus quiz. A post-lecture survey. So probably after your online lecture, you can have a simple survey on what is the most muddiest, they call it the muddiest or the most confusing topic in the lecture, so that you can have a follow-up lecture discussion later on. And then, as I mentioned, you can conduct a practice quiz so that they can practice and also part of a review of their before and after quiz. Discussion, I have not done this yet, but this is one suggestion so that you can engage the students for interactive activity between students and also with you. So you can open the discussion, you can pose a question, pose a problem, and then solicit some replies from the students, and you can also reply to some of the students, no? or add comments. And then I have not used this yet in Anonymous Space, but you can use also the chat. You can send messages in individual students. Probably this can be done for private student consultation. Now you may ask, how do I get students to engage with these activities? So there's a suggestion from the Arizona State online course is probably consider adding low point incentives. For example, for every activity, for every survey, for every practice quiz, you add 1% per activity. So it's a motivator. It's not a large percentage, but it's a motivator, especially for those students who are grade conscious. Another suggestion, this is also suggested by Assist, this call as Canvas requirements. Now, wherein you cannot open a module, you cannot open a quiz unless you do this activity. So in Canvas, there's an option wherein you have to do an activity before you can open a file, or you can open a quiz or open a module. And then another suggestion is what they call as grade bumps. I call it rounding it's like a rounding. You can, such as a grade bump is something like rounding the general average to get a higher final grade. For example, if the score is 59.4, okay, and then if you count the activities or the activities done, you can round it to 60, so it will be a passing grade already. If you're very, very strictly with rounding of error, rounding of general averages. So these are just some suggestions so that you can motivate the students to do these activities. Now, in an online classroom, students need evidence of engagement with the teacher. Okay? Teachers also must create a sense of instructor presence. So it's not, in an online course, it is not just you post the files, you post the YouTube videos, and that's it. And then, bahala na sila. No, students prefer, if the students feel that you are there, virtually, watching them, then they will be engaged in the teaching and learning task. And these are some of the suggestions on how to make your presence in an online classroom. So one suggestion is you can have a welcome message, okay? So probably at the start of the term, or you can post a welcome message. It can be a video message, or it can just be a text message. Always post announcements, reminders to the students, okay, do this, etc., so that they will be updated on the schedule. And then align your assignments with the outcomes, so that they will know what is the purpose of this assignment with respect to your course learning outcomes. Reach out to struggling students. Probably you can do this by chat, no? So that this is very important for students who are really slow learners, what we call slow learners. Of course, send feedback. Send feedback about the quiz. Send feedback about during discussions. And then, of course, facilitate in discussions when you post a question or a problem in the discussion. Make sure that you reply, at least you reply to some of the comments of the students. And of course, this is for with respect to assessment, assign real-world problems. So at least they can see the relevance of the subject with respect to real life. So finally, I'm going now to the last part of my presentation. My online roadmap for teaching courses is specifically in civil engineering for third term. So first, I reviewed while preparing for third term. I have to review. We have to review our syllabus for online classroom. And I think everyone, DCOE is already an OBE accredited college. No? So I'm sure the syllabus have all of these components. We have the course description, we have the course learning outcomes, we have the course learning plan, the course assessment, references, class policies. But this time, we have to revise that syllabus so that you can implement it in an online classroom. You cannot apply the traditional syllabus in an online classroom. You have to modify it, revise it, and adapt. So while reviewing the traditional syllabus, this is my observation that the main revision must be done on the course learning plan and the course assessment. So this is where I will discuss my roadmap. So the course learning plan and the course assessment. This is a sample of my draft. This is still a draft. This is an ongoing revision of my roadmap. The roadmap. This roadmap covers from weeks 0 before the start of the class up to 14 weeks up to the final exam. So there is a need to revise the learning plan, and I call it now as a roadmap for implementing online teaching and learning. So I will discuss highlights of some of this roadmap so that you will understand the contents of this roadmap. So you will notice here there is a summary of the activity. There's a time. Yes.
I'm sorry. Earlier it was not showing. Now it's showing on my end.
What about the other faculty?
I think it just loaded for everyone. Sige po, you may.
You can see it, sir.
There's a rule in our online classroom now. A 1-unit course should be assigned about 2.5 hours of online activity. The online activity can be synchronous or it can be asynchronous. So I have to add in my roadmap the time to make sure that I follow that. For a 3-unit course, it will be about 7.5 hours or about 450 minutes. And then I have to put there which activity is asynchronous or asynchronous. So let me just focus on highlight some of the weeks. So before week 0 is before the start of classes. So the faculty, of course, have to prepare the syllabus. So you have to upload your syllabus already before the start of the class. And then you have to prepare your syllabus quiz. Of course, you have to upload as much as possible the files that you will need, especially in the first few weeks of the classes. Then probably you can already post a welcome message so that even before the week of the start of the classes, the students can already see your message. And then I will require, I have not done this yet, but I will require the students to prepare sort of a 1 slide PowerPoint for self-introduction during the orientation in week number 1. So week number 1 is the orientation week. Okay, so what are the highlights of orientation week? Of course, there will be a conference. So this is the first time that you're going to meet your students, and during in the first meeting. So there are 2 meetings per week, no? So in the first meeting, I will focus on the orientation about the course and a self-introduction. And then the second meeting is more of about the syllabus and a review of prerequisite knowledge in the specific course. And during the week, probably before the end of the week, probably I will already require the students to take the syllabus quiz. And then there will be some announcements. Let's say you have to watch this tutorial for next week's lecture, etc. And then probably some exercises which are not required. No? These are not actually required. These are just formative activities so that the student will become busy. No? Sometimes naghahanap sila ng gagawin. No? And if you don't suggest some activities, they will not do anything. So this is for orientation week. Next, let me focus on a regular week. A regular week, what do I say, a regular week? So in a regular week, usually it consists of two online lectures. During this will be conducted during the class hours, the class schedule. We have class schedule as a face-to-face classroom. So this will be conducted during that schedule. Now, this can be done, of course, synchronously, and then during the lecture, you can record this lecture and then share to the students asynchronously. So the students who miss the live lecture can still watch the recorded lecture. You may ask, will attendance be required in the conference online lectures? Now, during my attendance in the assist webinar, Dr. Jasper suggested that you must be flexible because some students may not be able to attend live, so you must give them an option to watch the recorded lecture. So I will still check the attendance, no? But I will still also monitor whether they watch recorded lectures because, as I mentioned, I will give an incentive. No? This will be an incentive for the students using some percentage for watching or for attending these lectures. And then in a regular week, there will be some assignments, some formative assessments, like a knowledge check quiz. So about the lecture, related to the lecture. No? So concepts, again, these are not required, but will be given some incentive. So these are knowledge check quiz. Now, there's a quiz week, assessment week during the in-year roadmap. Ano? So what are the highlights in a quiz week? So in a quiz week, there will be a conference, again, via Canvas, wherein I will conduct a review. So there will be an online review before the quiz, the following meeting. And then the second conference will be already the live assessment, live long quiz. It can be done using the original procedure I mentioned earlier, but there will be a problem solving, an inputting of final answers, and uploading of solutions. Now, it depends on how you will conduct your live long quiz. And then during the week also, I will conduct also a survey just to get a feedback about the conduct of the long quiz so that you can improve later on your future long quizzes. And then finally, during the final exam week, so this is the 14th week of the term. So again, there will be a conference of review for the final exams. There will be some discussion. Of course, the final exam will be done in a conference. I will do it in a conference, but it will be longer, no? 3 hours. No? Usually, a final exam takes 3 hours for a 3-unit course. And after the final exam, probably during the week or even after during the grade consultation, there will be an end of course assessment, similar to what I did earlier about their learning. Have you achieved the learning outcomes, etc., etc. And there will be, of course, a grade consultation during the final exam week or during the grade consultation week. So that's the roadmap from week 0 to week 14. Now, in this course, as I mentioned, the surveys, the knowledge quizzes, the practice quizzes will be given a minor percentage to motivate the students, to encourage the students to perform the task. So if you can assign either a 5% or 10% weight, no, for performing those tasks. And of course, these are the major summative assessment, the problem sets, long quizzes, and the final exam. Now, the VCA gave us a guideline, quality criteria on conducting online courses. question is, papasa ba yung roadmap ko using this criteria? So I have to check, ano? And what are the criteria, the quality criteria posted by VCA? Orientation. Okay, papasa, no? Because during the week number 1, we have an orientation, we will discuss the syllabus, etc. Learning outcomes. This is already in our syllabus. It's already given in the syllabus, so papasa yan. And then we have a course roadmap. Course materials. Okay, we will deliver the content via synchronous or asynchronous mode, either via conference, via video tutorials, or via files. Study guides and formative assessments. Okay, you can post study guides in files, and then formative assessments. You have a knowledge check and practice quizzes. Engagement is another criteria by the VCA. Are there opportunities for engagement? So probably during the conference, of course, there will be engagement, and you can also introduce discussions and chats. Opportunities for engagement between students. So this is the most difficult part. So probably in my roadmap, I plan to open a discussion so that students can share and comment and collaborate. And then synchronous sessions are recorded, so conferences and video tutorials will be shared. Summative assessment, I think this also is implied in our syllabus. We have the grading system, both formative and summative. And you have to update your students regarding the progress by giving feedback, by returning the quizzes on time. Hindi yung at the end of the term. I think if you're going to use Canvas, there's already automatic checking. So it's very easy for you to share or to give feedback about their performance. And then student feedback. Faculty members keep in touch with all students. So you can do that by conferences or by discussions. And then you can also conduct a survey on quizzes, the MADS topic, and then of course assessment. So the roadmap, which I presented earlier, more or less satisfies the DLSU VCA quality criteria for online course and instructional design. Now, VCA was posted. If you read the memo there's a memo on June 2. This is my last slide. Okay, finally, I will just end it with a message. I read this. This is one of the columns I read about embracing blended learning by this opinion writer in Inquirer, and I was he has some interesting remarks. He said shifting to an e-learning mode requires changing the teacher's orientations, knowledge, and skills, and this is a radical makeover. And indeed, it's a radical makeover. And the last quote, also very interesting. I like the word there about delight. It says here, teachers must put in an enormous amount of time, effort, patience, trial and error learning, and personal resources so they can transform themselves into learning enablers that delight. I like that word delight, the word delight, rather than disappoint their students. So with this, I would like to thank you for your patience and for listening to my sharing, and hopefully you have gained some insights and some practices that you may apply in your course. Thank you very much.